his whole life.
Legit.
Shedeur's been hearing these messages his entire life. Feels like he would be prepared for basically any situation mentally. You would think that. Now, once you experience it, it's obviously different. But I think listening to Coach Prime say, like, this is Shedeur Sanders we're talking about here. Whenever people were asking a lot of questions, it's like he was saying, you don't think that I've taught him how to be a professional? That's basically what you're saying. I'm intrigued to see how it works out. Dylan Gabriel, not talked about at all. 3rd-round pick, drafted ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Kenny Pickett, last guy to touch ball in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was.
And Joey Flacco, last guy to take the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs.
What do you get when you replace Shedeur Sanders with Kenny Pickett as QB1? A full-blown Mcafee meltdown. This isn't just a sports take. It's a caffeinated rant with the volume cranked to 100. Pat McAfee's veins nearly burst on live TV. And let's just say, chairs were harmed. Why is Shedeur getting sidelined? Who thought this was a good idea? Grab your popcorn. This spirals faster than a botched Hail Mary at 4th and dumb. Let's dive into the chaos.
Pat McAfee, ESPN analyst, met Shedeur Sanders recently in the past and said these words right here. You are one tough cookie. I enjoy the way you play football at that quarterback position. I seen you get hit after hit after hit at Colorado, but you kept getting back up and delivering that football.
Subscribe if you think Shedeur should be the starting quarterback. Cut to a training camp field where logic took a smoke break and never came back. Because somehow, in a year where football IQ is allegedly valued, someone looked at Shedeur Sanders, Mr. Ice in his veins, playmaker extraordinaire, poster child for composure, and said, you know what? Let's go with Kenny Pickett.
Be in Cleveland.
Who's that?
We know.
They traded for Kenny, so him.
It'll be Hey, I love Dylan Gabriel. I love Pickett.
Oh,
I love Flacco.
oh,
It's going to be
stop.
Shedeur.
Day one?
No, by week 8, Shedeur Sanders will be.
Judging by
Okay, that sounds right.
Judging by the ESPN.
I mean, you know,
Cleveland stats.
I'm dialed into ESPN Cleveland, so I'm watching this. I don't know what the hell those DBs are
16
doing.
of 18.
Yeah, I think I only saw one interception from all the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I don't know what
They're
this
dialing it
Ward
up.
and the boys are doing over there. But
Be careful.
you know,
Be careful.
I'm reading tea
June.
leaves. I'm watching.
June.
What are you talking about, Shrades? 16 of
Jackson
18.
Dart. Jackson
16
Dart.
touchdowns.
Threw 3 touchdowns today. Like, be
Oh,
careful.
yeah.
This
Never
is
gonna
June.
happen.
Holy shit.
Better
Really?
not throwing them.
Put it on the bottom line.
Yeah, it is a lot better than not throw him. Good call, AJ.
I get it.
Yes, that Kenny Pickett, the guy whose football highlight reel looks like a commercial for caution tape. Meanwhile, Shedeur's tape? Literal poetry. If NFL tapes were Tinder profiles, Shedeur's would be getting swiped right by every GM from here to Mars. But no, instead of letting him cook, they handed the kitchen keys to a guy who couldn't lead a Thanksgiving prayer, let alone an NFL offense.
He's tough. He takes a lot of pride in getting up. Now, I know he has a watch, and I know he's been rich his whole life, and I know people think everything's been handed to him, but I think he's taken that and gone the complete opposite direction, wanting to prove that he's just as tough, if not tougher, than everybody else. He got hit more than anybody, and he would pop right back up. And some of these shots he was taking were like full spears, like Braun Breaker spears in the middle of a game. He's getting speared through the earth, and then he would pop back up, not even miss a play. It's like that durability is something that is very much respected and appreciated.
And that's when Pat McAfee lost what was left of his vocal cords. A full-throttle, Red Bull-fueled meltdown. Imagine a man who's just watched his prized racehorse get replaced by a drunk mule wearing cleats. That was the vibe. The kind of rage that could power a small town if harnessed correctly.
It's about damn time. Shedeur Sanders has officially been named the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns after the conclusion of minicamp. And let me show you guys the stats of the 4 quarterbacks from the Browns during minicamp. Because obviously this job was not easy to get due to the fact that he was going against 3 legit quarterbacks to get this starting job. Kenny Pickett, who they just signed, Joe Flacco, the Hall of Famer, and then the guy that they selected in the draft before him in Dylan Gabriel. But Shedeur Sanders went off in minicamp, and let me show you guys the stats, which is the reason why he is being named the starter.
Because let's talk about Shedeur. This isn't just a quarterback. This is a walking quarterback clinic with a killer smile. Precision passes? Check. Pocket awareness? Check. The ability to throw under pressure without combusting like a dollar store hoverboard? Triple check. The man sees blitzes coming like he's Neo in the Matrix. Shedeur doesn't just play football, he orchestrates it, like Beethoven, but with better footwork and more shoulder pads. He reads defenses like they're open books. Complex coverage? Shedeur translates it into English, then burns it with a 40-yard laser. He's mobile, but not chaotic. Confident, not cocky. The kind of quarterback you build dynasties around. And if you ever doubted it, just look at the stats. 3,200 plus passing yards, 27 touchdowns, minimal interceptions. And that's behind an offensive line that could barely keep a drunk squirrel out of the backfield. Shedeur was out there turning chaos into elegance while getting hit like he owed someone money. Meanwhile, Kenny Pickett's highlight reel plays like it was edited by someone trying to meet a deadline with dial-up internet. He has the energy of a lukewarm toaster. Yes, he's been in the league longer. But let's not confuse mileage with momentum. Some cars just rust in the garage. You don't pick the guy with 3 check engine lights just because he's got a couple more miles under the hood.
It appears in the 4-quarterback derby, despite the fact that Shedeur had the fewest attempts, he was the most efficient and most productive, with the fewest reps. Again, not a mathematician, but that feels important to me. The Herd newsroom is calling it in Ohio by a landslide. Shedeur Sanders should be starting. All I know, with very average personnel outside of Travis Hunter, against the very best teams he played. They didn't win games, but he was highly productive.
This move didn't just surprise fans. It slapped them across the face with a soggy playbook. Fans were checking their notifications like, this has to be satire, right? Unfortunately, no. This was a real decision made by people allegedly paid to make smart football decisions. Somewhere, a clipboard cracked itself in half out of protest. And Pat McAfee reacted like someone replaced his espresso shot with NyQuil. Arms flailing, voice breaking every sound barrier known to man. And he wasn't wrong. This is football malpractice. You don't sit the guy who moves the chains, electrifies the locker room, and literally makes your team marketable in the TikTok era. Shedeur isn't just a quarterback, he's a movement. This wasn't just football. It felt like a dusty play from an old school manual. Play it safe, stick with the status quo, ignore the future. Because if Shedeur were given even half the leash others get, he'd be rewriting rookie year expectations like a kid editing his grades before report cards drop.
They already think that Shedeur's better than him. He jumps on top of him, right? So now you're in third place. Similar situation, rookie quarterback that had chance to start, but how'd he get there? Some guys like Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson. If you look at Dak, he was 5-0. 5-0 as in 5 touchdowns, 0 picks. Preseason. In 3 games, he looked good. Okay, maybe we could start this dude. Russ was like 5 for 1. That means 5 touchdowns and 1 pick in 4 games. And it was like, okay. And it started with OTAs, and then it finished with the preseason. And I think if Shedeur goes in the preseason and balls out, then we won't see what you got when the coach ain't on the field talking to you. Yeah. I think if he does that, he'll have a chance, man.
But nah. Instead, the coaching staff decided to put all their eggs in Kenny Pickett's moderately cracked basket. A decision that says, why take the Lamborghini when we could roll the dice with a 2011 Chevy Malibu with commitment issues? And, oh, the irony. You have a quarterback who practically breathes leadership, who eats blitzes for breakfast and asks for seconds, and you say, let's stash him on the sidelines. That's not development. That's suppression. That's stuffing potential into a drawer and forgetting it exists until week 9 when the offense looks like a DIY disaster. Let's be real. Shedeur isn't your average rookie. He comes in with the poise of a seasoned vet and the hunger of a walk-on. He doesn't need training wheels. He needs a runway. And instead of giving him the keys to the offense, they handed him a clipboard and a polite nod. It's like telling Picasso to try finger painting first. You either have it or you don't. And guess what? Kenny Pickett doesn't. You want to talk about marketing, jerseys, fan engagement? Shedeur's got more cultural momentum than the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2012.
I do see Shedeur Sanders starting for the Cleveland Browns at some point this year. Lead with work, not clout. I think he took on the persona of a DB, not a QB. As a DB, you're able to do certain things. You can speak loud and be rambunctious and have that bravado, but as a quarterback, reminder, you are the CEO of that franchise. This is the best situation for Shedeur because he has to claw his way to the top. Does he have the capabilities of doing it? Absolutely.
His name trends when he sneezes. He doesn't just sell hope, he is the hope. And that matters. This league isn't just about wins anymore. It's about relevance. And Shedeur is relevance with a rocket arm and Nike cleats. But here we are, watching the franchise tuck that relevance into the QB2 spot like it's a spare charger you keep around just in case. The internet is combusting. Fan bases are tweeting in tongues. Even opposing defensive coordinators are confused, probably whispering, wait, we don't have to prepare for Shedeur yet? Thank you, football gods. And of course, McAfee's reaction is just the cherry on top. His disbelief had layers. It wasn't just frustration, It was existential, like someone trying to make sense of a Rubik's Cube that just slapped them back. He wasn't mad because it affected his fantasy team. He was mad because football logic took a vacation to Neptune. There's a reason people tuned in to hear McAfee go off. It's not just the theatrics. It's because deep down, everyone knows he's right. You don't put lightning in a bottle and leave it on the shelf. You let it loose. And he's sitting there, helmet on, watching someone else run an offense that was practically designed for him. Pat McAfee's meltdown wasn't just a rant. It was a caffeinated prophecy wrapped in a Red Bull explosion. You could literally see his soul leaving his body for a brief moment as the words, Kenny Pickett named QB1 hit his eardrums like a rogue marching band. The disbelief, the squinted rage, the gesticulating like he was signaling planes, it was pure sports theater.
Some balls coming out of Shedeur Sanders at that game, and I'm like, kind of looks like a guy.
Yeah, I'm ready.
He can sling it.
Ready to. I see him, some of the veterans, how they talk to him, mic'd up, see what he's doing in the community.
Yep.
You talking about Njoku there?
Joku, Mike Napier. Once you see, different little interactions and things like that, I know he has the talent. We'll see. It'll be a competition that usually brings the best out of guys, especially young guys. So I'm interested to see how that quarterback situation.
I've heard he's been outstanding in the building, and I don't know. There was never no one thought he was this like malcontent or like a bag. It wasn't.
That was the word,
That was kind of what was being said.
This wasn't a hot take. It was a 5-alarm football emergency. McAfee wasn't yelling because he's dramatic. He was yelling because he's right. Let's break it down. McAfee didn't just flip out for fun. His reaction was fueled by a very real frustration every fan with functioning eyes and a football IQ above room temperature is feeling. You don't build the future by sidelining your most promising talent. You don't take a kid like Shedeur Sanders, who plays with the poise of a 10-year vet and the swagger of a Hall of Famer's mixtape, and say, hey, why don't you sit behind Kenny check down on 3rd and long Pickett? McAfee's voice cracked like a dad finding out his kid chose arts over football scholarships. And that's because Shedeur isn't just good, he's ridiculous. This isn't about earning reps. Shedeur already earned them with blood, grit, and absolute bombs downfield that had DBs turning into statues.
Training camp, rookies and vets have officially reported to Berea, and to kick things off, Mary Kay Cabot predicts that Kenny Pickett will have the upper hand early in camp. Kenny Pickett still has a slight edge in terms of being number 1 on the depth chart heading into training camp, but that could quickly change. Mary Kay Cabot is the gospel when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. She's the gospel.
Yes, she is. Yes, he is. Listen, she's the Pavarotti.
And yet this isn't a one-off. This is part of a bigger, uglier trend in the NFL. Dynamic, mobile, mentally sharp QBs, especially young black quarterbacks, often get the wait-your-turn treatment while milquetoast mediocrity gets the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because the league still has a case of old schoolitis, the kind where anything that doesn't look like a pocket passer prototype from 1987 is treated with suspicion. Shedeur doesn't play like the quarterback mold. He breaks the mold, then autographs the shards. He improvises, he creates, he reads the defense, then sets it on fire. But for some reason, decision makers keep reaching for the familiar, even when it's outdated. Kenny Pickett is a nice guy, a solid dude. But we're not doing a charity draft here. We're trying to win football games. So, is the NFL afraid of change? You tell us. Why do young quarterbacks who bring something new, fresh, and disruptive get benched in favor of yesterday's oatmeal? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this isn't just about one depth chart. It's about a mindset that's killing innovation before it even hits the field. This is just another plot twist in the Shedeur Sanders origin story. The training montage is loading, and when it's done, defensive coordinators better wear oven mitts, because this kid's about to get hot. This isn't a fall, it's a slingshot. You pull him back now, but when he launches, it's game over.
He's going to be the starting quarterback and taking the reps. The way things go when you acquire quarterbacks, that guy who's in first usually gets the first reps of the opportunity. Then the second guy gets it, the third guy gets it, the fourth guy gets it. Kenny Pickett was acquired before Flacco. Then you bring in Dylan Gabriel based on draft status. Then you bring in Flacco. Then you bring in Shedeur, who was the last guy. They'll all split reps in training camp. They'll get equal amount of reps. And then we'll start to notice those reps are dying. That's how he'll win some of the younger guys over and the coaching staff by performing when the opportunity presents itself when he's with the ones and the twos. Yeah. And that's how they'll grade him. But I think he'll come out on top.
And let's not pretend the locker room doesn't know what's up. Every wide receiver, every lineman, every equipment guy with working vision knows Shedeur's the future. He's not a backup, he's the blueprint. And if the coaching staff hasn't realized that yet, give it a few weeks. They'll either come to their senses or the scoreboard will do it for them. Which brings us back to Pat McAfee's final, furious wisdom. If you bench your best weapon, don't be surprised when you lose the war. And that's exactly it. You don't keep your sharpest sword in the sheath while going into battle with a butter knife. You let your warrior lead, you let Shedeur cook, and you get out of the damn way. So what now? Wait for an injury? Hope Pickett throws 5 ducks in a row before the staff reconsiders? That's not strategy. Not a prove it week 3 reps in the 4th quarter when the game's already lost. A real shot. QB1. From the jump. The opportunity to lead, to make mistakes, to grow. Like every other young gun who was handed the keys because someone saw the fire instead of fearing the smoke.
Yes, they have Deshaun Watson. He's injured with that second Achilles tear. I don't believe that he's going to play football for the Cleveland Browns ever again. So now you have 4 quarterbacks. You have Joe Flacco on a 1-year, $4 million deal, veteran, right? You have Kenny Pickett that you just traded for. Those are going to be the 2 who are battling for QB1. That is at least going into training camp. I'm not saying about who's going to be the week 1 starter just yet. Now you are going to have Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders splitting QB3 and QB4 reps. There's not a lot of those reps, but one of them will clearly beat out the other. That is how quarterback competition.
Instead, they picked a quarterback whose biggest claim to fame is making people say, at least he didn't throw a pick today. That's the bar? That's the bar we're setting now? Meanwhile, Shedeur could throw a touchdown blindfolded and still not get the nod. There's a storm coming, and it's wearing number 2. And when Shedeur finally gets his moment, it won't just be a highlight, it'll be a reckoning. A big fat "I told you so" scribbled across every stat sheet in permanent ink. And for the coaching staff that benched him, just know the timeline remembers, fans remember, and Mcafee? Oh, he'll definitely remember. Because this ain't just football, this is a saga, and Shedeur Sanders is the main character. Everyone else? Just trying not to get written out of the script.